Unlike anything we have ever seen, with just 11 days until the election. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. We are awaiting new remarks right now from Donald Trump in Iowa. This will be the first time he has spoken since Hillary Clinton held a news conference around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, answering questions about the FBI announcement that the Bureau is taking a new look at Mrs. Clinton's email scandal. The story broke around 1 p.m. Eastern Time when FBI Director James Comey sent a letter to Congress saying the FBI learned of emails that could have a bearing on the Clinton probe. The emails were discovered in a separate investigation. Law enforcement sources are telling us there are thousands of messages at issue here. They were being sent to or from Huma Abedin, Hillary's top aide. The emails themselves were reportedly found on one of the computers belonging to Anthony Weiner. You cannot make it up. He is, of course, Abedin's estranged husband, and he is the subject of a federal investigation for reportedly sexting with an underage girl. That's how they got on to these documents. With less than a week and a half to go now until the election, the Clinton camp now has a huge new headache to deal with. Here's a little of her news conference just a short time ago.
The American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately. The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July.
In two big Kelly File exclusives, we will be joined by Congressman Trey Gowdy, who investigated Mrs. Clinton as the House Oversight Chair, and we will speak with House Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte. He is one of the congressional leaders who received the letter from Director Comey. Trump Communications Advisor Jason Miller is also here tonight to explain how the Trump camp plans to deal with this, and Judge Andrew Napolitano, who has been raising questions about the original FBI investigation for months, will join us in moments with reaction to the breaking news. But we begin this evening with our chief national correspondent, Ed Henry, who is live in Washington. Ed?
Good to see you, Megyn. I've spoken to several law enforcement officials tonight who are questioning how thorough the original FBI probe of Hillary Clinton was if they did not find these emails, thousands and thousands of Huma Abedin emails in the first place. Remember, she was questioned by the FBI, had to come in for a deposition. A senior law enforcement official, though, is telling me that the FBI director, James Comey, felt he was in an impossible position as agents investigating Anthony Weiner in that separate matter found a trove of emails connected to the Clinton probe. If they waited until after the election, Republicans would accuse them of holding back. Move forward. Democrats tonight are furious. They think it may tilt a close race. Remember, Comey said in July no charges would be pushed against Clinton, but that there was evidence of a potential violation of law. Team Clinton thought the worst had passed. Under fire again tonight, she just issued this challenge to the FBI director.
So we don't know the facts, which is why we are calling on the FBI to release all the information that it has. Even Director Comey noted that this new information may not be significant, so let's get it out.
But as she says, let's get it out. Remember what we learned from WikiLeaks just 24 hours ago. As the email story first broke, March of 2015, as Trey Gowdy was actually subpoenaing her to keep all of those records and preserve them, campaign chairman John Podesta was writing to Robbie Mook, the campaign manager, quote, "Did you have any idea of the depth of this story?" Mook, the campaign manager, responded, "Nope. We brought up the existence of emails in research this summer, but we're told that everything was taken care of." So Hillary Clinton was keeping some of her own top aides in the dark. And a former FBI official told me tonight, if Clinton is worried about the timing around the election, she should not have kept the existence of her server secret for so long, Megyn.
Wow. Ed, thank you. Joining us now in a Kelly File exclusive, Congressman Trey Gowdy, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, member of the House Oversight Committee, and the former chair of the Select Committee on Benghazi. Great to see you tonight, sir. Thank you for being with us. Your reaction now to this news about the FBI.
Well, I think Director Comey did the right thing in supplementing his testimony. Remember, Megyn, Commissioner Koskinen is in trouble because he did not take the step of supplementing his congressional testimony. Yeah, but beyond that, his letter is pretty cryptic. It's an unrelated investigation. He has not confirmed that it's the Anthony Weiner sexting investigation, and he hasn't even confirmed yet that the information is significant. So I appreciate the fact that he updated Congress, but other than that, I'm going to let the Bureau do their job.
How extraordinary is this?
Well, it's pretty extraordinary because Secretary Clinton had an extraordinary email arrangement with herself, and she is the author of her own destiny. Everything that's happened since then is the natural, probable consequence of deciding you're going to have a rogue email system. So I understand she's upset, and I understand she doesn't like the timing, but she need to look no further than herself.
How is it possible, in your view, as a former prosecutor, that Huma Abedin, who was under subpoena, would not have produced her home computer or directed the FBI to that device as relevant when they were seeking all of her documents?
Well, you can even go back beyond that. Remember, the State Department allegedly went back to all of the top aides, the seventh floor principals at the State Department, to try to recreate the record. They missed it as well. I'm reluctant to speculate because I don't like to do that as a former prosecutor, but it may have been emails that were deleted. Remember, Secretary Clinton said she turned over all work-related emails. We now know that thousands were deleted, and for all I know, this tranche may have been among those that were deleted, and therefore the Bureau did not have access to them originally.
Because you cannot get any closer to Hillary Clinton than Huma Abedin. I mean, you can't, that's her, it's her right-hand person, it's her closest aide, they're like family. I mean, this would be one of the first places you would look to when you were turned on to the fact that there was a secret server to find the relevant documents. And it's inconceivable to me that the FBI did not ask her for it, and if she knowingly withheld the disclosure of this device or failed to search it, there are all sorts of issues there. What's going to happen next? Because you and I both know this thing doesn't get resolved in 11 days. Does Comey need to come out and say more about it, as Hillary is demanding? And if he doesn't, what happens over the next 11 days?
Well, she's welcome to tell us what would be on that computer. I mean, Director Comey's not the only person who would know what's on Anthony Weiner's computer. I mean, Secretary Clinton's welcome to hold a press conference tomorrow and say, it may be this, because Huma and I discussed this. So he cannot confirm or deny the existence of an investigation. That's DOJ rules. And Secretary Clinton knows he cannot produce the information in the middle of an investigation. So it's a little bit, to me, Megan, I mean, it's just the same person who said I neither sent nor received classified information. It's the same person who said I turned over all my work-related emails. I only had one device. My lawyers went through everything. That's the same person calling that now wants all of this public disclosure. The same person who went to great lengths to make sure that these emails were private now all of a sudden wants it all made public. It's just too rich.
She denied it. I mean, she dodged it tonight when she was asked, have you spoken with Huma? And I mean, you know how it is. I have a right-hand woman here, too. And if my right-hand person, my assistant, found herself in this position and because of my decisions, I'd say, hey, Abby, what the hell was on your computer? And then I come out and explain, because there's only 11 days to the election. I mean, this is a dodge. Hillary, you raise a good point. Hillary and Huma are in charge of that information, and they do know, at least her right-hand person knows what was on her home computer. And they can't just point to Comey saying, you need to disclose more. I'll give you the final word, sir.
Well, I mean, it's easy to ask people cannot disclose things to do so. I mean, that makes her look transparent. But if it's a day that ends in Y, you can rest assured she's talked to Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills. She knows exactly what is on those computers, just like her lawyers know what was deleted from the Platte River Network. And if she's dying for us to know what she and Huma Abedin were doing on Anthony Weiner's computer, she's welcome to tell us.
Just tell us. Congressman Trey Gowdy, great to see you.
Yes, ma'am. You too. Thank you.
Also with us on the breaking news, House Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte. Great to see you, Mr. Chairman. So you received this letter today. Were you stunned by this?
I was stunned by this and very appreciative of the fact that the director had the courage to step forward and say that after he'd said this investigation was concluded, new information, perhaps thousands of emails related directly to communications between Secretary Clinton and her chief of staff, we don't know yet, but are indeed going to be further looked at by the Bureau. It's absolutely important. I actually agree with Secretary Clinton that the director, to the extent he's able, without compromising this investigation, should make as much information available as possible to the American people before this final vote occurs on November 8th. Many people are already voting around the country.
Why did he have to do it, though? He's coming under fire already, predictably, right, from Hillary and her supporters for doing this at this time. And he wasn't he wasn't in an impossible position. If he didn't do it and he waited till after the election, the Republicans would have killed him. And so why did he have to do it, in your view, right now?
I think that he had already taken the mantle of this problem on his shoulders when he announced back in July that he did not find evidence sufficient to prosecute her, when many other people, including many members of the Judiciary Committee, thought when he held his news conference, he said she violated this, she did this wrong, she did this wrong. A lot of us thought we were going to hear, therefore, there's going to be an indictment. Instead, he said, however, there's not going to be an indictment. So now we're in a situation where, having taken this on and having found new evidence and having been criticized for a number of aspects of how this has been handled, I think he's done the responsible thing of saying, we have new evidence. I assume that there's some significance to it, because if it were just a few random emails, you wouldn't do this under these circumstances. But I think this is probably more substantial, and that is why he has put it out now. But let me ask you this. It's important.
Yeah, to add more information. If she gets elected on November 8th, this isn't going away. So what needs to happen? Special prosecutor? She can't investigate herself as the president-elect.
Well, first of all, we have said from the outset that the House Judiciary Committee would follow the truth wherever it leads, and we have done that throughout the summer, asking a number of questions about how this investigation by the FBI was being conducted. We will continue to do that. We don't know what's going to happen now. We don't know what's going to happen after the election, so it's pure speculation what will happen afterwards. A special prosecutor, remember, is appointed by the Attorney General of the United States, so you have to decide whether that's going to be a fairer investigation than the one being conducted by the FBI under the direction of Director Comey right now. And the Judiciary Committee will certainly stay engaged in this and continue our investigation.
Wow. Mr. Chairman, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Megan.
Well, our next guest has been suggesting for a long time now that not only were FBI agents seriously upset at the way the Hillary Clinton investigation was handled within the FBI, but that the Bureau had been, quote, too cozy with politics as of late. This is the charge by some inside the FBI. Joining us now with more by phone is our Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Anna Napolitano. Judge, I mean, first, just your reaction at 1 o'clock today when you saw this cross the wires?
Well, my reaction is there must be something substantial there that the FBI did not see before. It is entirely feasible that this has to do with whether or not Huma Abedin told the truth when she testified to the FBI, or it could be something that was deleted from Mrs. Clinton's servers, and the FBI didn't see it. My other reaction was from Director Comey's letter and the fact that he also sent it to the chairs of the intelligence committees as well as the Congressional Judiciary Committees is this probably does involve national security. And when FBI agents looked at it, they did not know for sure if it was classified or not, and they need to confer with their colleagues in the intelligence community in order to make that determination.
Unbelievable. I mean, if that is the case, if these documents are sitting there on Huma Abedin with Anthony Weiner sitting there next to her on her home computer and they're unclassified, this is what Trump has been saying for months. Like, she's married to this. Well, you know.
Right.
So how do you see Comey? You've been critical of him for not bringing charges, but how do you see his decision to come out with this today?
I see it as a very painful decision. I see it as one where raw evidence was presented to him just 2 days ago, and he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. If he sits on it until after Election Day and Mrs. Clinton is elected, Republicans will rip into him. If he reveals it now and runs the risk of it looking like he's doing so to affect the outcome of the election, Democrats will rip into him. Look, for many years, he had a reputation, you know this as a lawyer, Megan, in the legal community, as being the most upstanding of persons to hold a job like the head of the FBI. He seriously tarnished that reputation by making a decision not to seek indictment, notwithstanding a mountain of evidence of her guilt. I'll repeat it, a mountain of evidence of her guilt. If he's made this decision today in order to change the way we perceive him, it's wrong, immoral, unethical, and probably unlawful. But if he made the decision today because there's real new hard evidence before him that his investigators missed the last time around, then he did the right thing.
Mm-hmm. I'll defend Comey because he doesn't have anybody here to defend him. But, you know, I have said as a lawyer that there is a basis to justify his decision not to charge her because he says, to prove intent, and no one had ever been charged under similar circumstances. And, you know, he's been a straight shooter his whole life. So the question is, you know, would he flip just because Loretta Lynch? Who knows? I don't know the answer to those questions. But I think there is a legal defense for the decision not to charge. And there's a legal defense for him coming forward even 11 days before the election if he found something that was being held back from the American people. And if these people lied to the FBI or did not disclose a computer that had responsive documents on it, they're in a whole world of trouble. Finally, Judge, before I let you go, a lot of these people received immunity deals when they were dealing with the FBI. Do we know whether Huma is one of them? And could it possibly protect her if she didn't disclose everything she was supposed to disclose to them?
Great questions. We do not know if Huma is one of them. None of them received immunity. They received promises not to be prosecuted under very narrow circumstances. It will depend upon the wording of those promises, which come not in the form of an order of immunity, which lasts forever. They come in the form of a letter from a lawyer in the Justice Department. So those letters will now have to be examined. And if one of them is addressed to Huma Abedin, then Jim Comey has more headaches on his hands.
Wow. Judge, thank you.
Pleasure.
This is stunning news. I mean, this is big. This is significant. And the American people have a right to know what went on there. And Hillary Clinton does have some answers. That's her right-hand person. Again, you think about it. Do you have anybody in your life who's, you know, your assistant or your best friend? Why can't she just look at her and say, what was on the computer? What was on there? Huma and Anthony are estranged, but they lived in the same house for years. What device are we talking about? What was on there? How did you communicate on there? What's the universe of possibilities? She can answer those questions. Already tonight, the same Democrats, many of them, who praised the FBI last summer, they loved Director Comey, are tonight screaming about this same man. Matt Bennett worked in Bill Clinton's administration. We'll ask him about that next. Plus, Donald Trump is expected any moment at a rally in Cedar Rapids. We'll see how he reacts tonight to the new remarks we just heard from Mrs. Clinton. This will be the first we've heard from him since those comments. And then we'll speak in moments to Mr. Trump's senior communications director, Jason Miller, about how the campaign